appear at Jonas Gaugus Nugget. And I talked to her, and through her agents and managers and so on, we agreed upon a deal. And on opening night, Shirley said to me after the first show, "This is the nicest room I've ever worked. There's a chemistry between me on stage and the audience, and it was so comfortable. I love this room." And I said, "Shirley, you're being very accommodating, and I appreciate that. Do you really mean that? You know, our room was half the size of, say, Caesar's in Las Vegas." She said, "No, the flow back and forth was the most lovely room I've ever worked." And I thought, gee, thank you. And I agreed with her, I might add. One of my favorite acts of all time, the Mills Brothers, because so many star performers insist on a 25-piece band, you know, and all the elegant lighting and stuff that goes with a good show. These guys had one mic. They walked to it, did their show, maybe 10 or 12-piece orchestra, and that was it, and did wonderful work. And what a lot of people don't know, that Harry Mills was blind at the time and walked out to the mic and did his thing with a little help from his two brothers, and did wonderful shows.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Miller's Riverside Hotel is proud to present the Mills Brothers.
Oh, baby, I'm racking my brain to think of a name. I can't understand the very true. A baby old thing, will give it a fling. And that was how to ever want to hum and sing. Thank you very, very, very much, ladies and gentlemen. How about a real great big hand for Lou Levette and his band for playing this music? So wonderful. Yeah, Lou.
It's almost impossible. You can see just what's in there. Just so much entertainment we had. We were the entertainment capital of actually the world at that particular time between the 50s and 60s.
Also in those years, if you'd go to the showroom in the Riverside Hotel or the Mapes or to the Golden, you would have a dinner show. And that was the way it was done.
But it was nice to go in and with some friends and sit down at a table or take your date, and you could get up and dance. They did dance in those days.
There would be an orchestra, not canned music, but an orchestra. There was a dance floor in front of the orchestra, and you could dance before the show. You'd have your dinner served beautifully and gourmet meals, and then of course the show would come on, and you'd have a named entertainer, such as for instance Red Skelton or Rowan and Martin, somebody like that, who would entertain you, and it was an evening to be remembered.
One of the most colorful aspects of show business during that era was the production shows that were in most of the major showrooms. And this included a chorus line of beautiful girls and a house band. They were in the Mapes Hotel, Riverside Hotel, and the Golden Hotel. We even had a chorus line at Harold's Club for a while.
I believe one of the best shows that we ever had, and it was the Playgirls.
If you knew what was going on back there, backstage, back there, Sherry Knox can do a thing with her hair, backstage, back there.
Anyhow, Burnett put this Playgirls show together. Individually, they were great gals in themselves, and this was a sellout show. It was a beautiful thing. like I say, Sue Carson again, who to me was the greatest comedian in the world, which I worked dozens and dozens of times. And then Sherry North, of course, she's in pictures back in New York. And then this gal from London, Sabrina, my love and thanks and best wishes, one of those things. And then we also had, and I don't know what the Jewel Box Review, I don't know, is, what do they call these? Now, these are men dressed up as women on the thing. And the city council banned them. And about 4 weeks later, they went up to the Nugget and did a beautiful job. They filled the room. It was a great show. And if you didn't know that they weren't men, they were women.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Bill Miller's Riverside Hotel and to Danny Brown and Doc Benner's fabulous Jewel Box Review. If I am dancing, roll up the floor. If I am whistling, whoop me out the door.
And it was a great, great show. But before, I can't neglect the Crazy Horse Review from Paris.
Bonsoir, madame. Le Hotel Riverside proudly presents direct from Paris, bold and sophisticated, Le Crazy Horse Review.
Directed on stage by Gin Rinser. If you like La Vigne en Rose, there is only one Paris for that.
And part of it is almost striptease. On the Crazy Horse Review, they came up with some good music, and for instance, one of with the background music is this one gal there with a boa stretching across the thing as the music goes through the whole picture on the thing. Then came the Minsky's Follies, which is the greatest show of all here. It went on for 2 16-week segments on the thing. Started out with the Minsky's Follies, and then after the, I think, 9th or 10th week is Life at Minsky's, which was a complete change of show and everything. Challenging music, great music.
I promised I'd take you to Bill Miller's beautiful Riverside Hotel.
Are we going to see the new Harold Minsky production?
We sure are. Thank heaven for a little girl. For little girls get bigger every day.
But by the early 1970s, things were changing. Showrooms were closing.
We have corporations now. We don't have personal ownerships. And I think that is the biggest problem. The philosophy of dining rooms like this, for instance, was not to make money in the dining room, was to bring people in to gamble. Now the newer generation of management says, if this room don't make any money, cut it out. All you need is entertainment. I've been preaching it, but nobody's believed me so far.
You always think of the dark side, you know, when jobs are hard to get and things aren't like they used to be. And I remember back, and we did have some fun. We had some good times. There's a lot of hard work involved, but some good times, really good times. Got to play some good music. And that's what a house band does, or did. Thank you.
The celebrity divorcee out of Reno, take her to Virginia City or to Minden or even on occasion to Fallon and get the divorce there. And since the divorce could be set for hearing on virtually a moment's notice, the press would not have a clue what was going on.
I'll tell you the story about Gloria Vanderbilt. She's up there at Zephyr Cove, in this hut. She wrote a book about it. Now, she got the divorce, and they were going to get out of Reno. She was always trying to duck me, of course. And the plane had a forced landing in the Mojave Desert, And they finally got to Mexico, and I bird dogged them by long-distance telephone by placing a call. Couldn't do that today, what I did. I got the operator and said, I want to place a person-to-person call to a justice of the peace who was married, Leopold Stokowski and Gloria Vanderbilt. And she called all the justices around and finally found the right one.
But lawyers and reporters weren't alone in their appreciation of matrimonial disharmony. The whole community was benefiting from this new industry, and the cash registers were ringing like slot machines. With as many as 19,000 divorces in 1946, divorce was our business, and business was good. We had hit the jackpot again. Divorcees needed to eat, to be entertained, to shop. Why, yes, Miss Vanderbilt, I'm sure we have that in your size. Heck, while you're in town, Miss Rockefeller, why not visit our fine casinos?
The impact of the divorce business to the economy was instant money. And the people came from the East and everywhere else with pocketfuls of money, essentially. And they spent it here, and it improved the economy immeasurably.
Even musicians like Lou Levitt found themselves cashing in by serenading the women's boyfriends who were waiting back home by long-distance telephone from the townhouse.
At the townhouse, called townhouse, where the old Pennies used to be, it was in the basement. It was strictly a lawyer's paradise where they bring their clients. Now, the gals that would come up here for divorce, and I don't think anybody back east is going to know this, that their ex-husbands down there, they got a boyfriend waiting for them in Boston, New York. We get on the telephone with my violin, serenading their boyfriends while they were getting a divorce from their husband. It's fantastic. It was a very lucrative business for everybody in Reno at that time.
The people that came in for divorce, they spent quite freely. They wanted quality. Anyone that had enough money to fly out and stay at a guest ranch and do things naturally had enough money to spend. And if they got a good divorce settlement, they spent a little more. If they didn't get so well, they took it easy.
And for those who could afford to think of divorce as a 6-week vacation, we provided the finest in Western elegance, the Dude Ranch.
The ranches were really quite expensive. And I'd have a call from a New York lawyer, for instance, and he'd say to me, I'm sending out so-and-so to you for a divorce, and I would immediately ask him, what can the lady afford by way of accommodation? And he'd tell me what she could afford. And I would then call the guest house, or in the alternative, call the guest ranch, and I would arrange for the reservation for the lady to come and stay there.
When a divorcee came to town, which was probably by train, the owner, would think about nothing else during the next 24 hours but this woman, what she would need. And so she would come out, bring her out to the ranch from Reno, and then set her up in one of the little cabins. And each cabin had 4 bedrooms, 4 baths, and 4 porches, so that the dude had this little sanctum for herself, and then all the meals were taken here in the lodge.
Well, what you see here is the old Will James Lodge, which is Washoe Pine's main meeting place, and during the days of the divorcees, this is where they would have their cocktail hour and also where they'd eat their meals every night. And then, of course, the divorcees loved all of this kind of Western memorabilia that you have, like the Longhorns, which, to my knowledge, were never actually raised in Nevada, but probably imported from Texas. This table here came with the ranch, and the WP logo, the Washoe Pines logo here in the middle, and this